The mid-1950s in the United States were a time of unmatched confidence, prosperity, and cultural transformation, and the Lincoln Continental Mark II emerged in the middle of this atmosphere as a symbol of absolute prestige. It was not simply a car created to move people from one destination to another, nor was it meant to blend into the growing fleet of American automobiles that filled highways, suburban streets, and city centers. It was conceived as an object of desire, a mechanical sculpture intended to represent wealth, refinement, and the highest levels of craftsmanship the American automobile industry could deliver. When it appeared in 1956, the Continental Mark II instantly became the most expensive American car available, eclipsing competitors not through flamboyance or exaggerated styling, but by projecting a reserved elegance that made its presence impossible to ignore. Every detail, from the precision of its lines to the composition of its interior, carried a deliberate intention. This was a car built for people who expected absolute perfection. The philosophy behind the Mark II's development began even before its body took shape. Ford Motor Company had created the new Continental division specifically to design and build a car that could rival the greatest luxury automobiles in the world. This division was treated as a semi-independent entity, with its own design teams, its own engineering staff, and its own management dedicated exclusively to producing a machine that could elevate the perception of American luxury. Unlike other vehicles built under mass production principles, the Mark II was crafted with meticulous attention. It was assembled by hand more often than not, and workers who touched the car were selected not merely for efficiency but for their mastery of their craft. Everything, from the stitching of the seats to the alignment of the body panels, was held to standards that exceeded the usual expectations of the industry. The price of the Mark II reflected this philosophy. It cost more than a Rolls-Royce of the same period, something unprecedented for an American automobile. The design language of the Mark II reflected a restrained sophistication. While many cars of the 1950s embraced bold fins, excessive chrome, and flamboyant shapes meant to attract attention through dramatic gestures, the Mark II took a completely different approach. Its lines were clean, smooth, and dignified. Instead of trying to impress with extravagance, it communicated power and exclusivity through subtle confidence. The front end featured a wide, simple grille that did not attempt to dominate the visual composition. The hood flowed in a gentle, uninterrupted curve, and the roofline carried a formal elegance reminiscent of European luxury cars. The rear-mounted spare tire shape, integrated into the trunk lid, became an unmistakable signature of the Continental series, yet on the Mark II it was executed in a way that felt tasteful and refined rather than decorative or exaggerated. The entire car embodied a sense of quiet dominance, like an aristocrat who does not need to announce his status. Beneath its elegant exterior, the Mark II carried a powerful V8 engine that delivered smooth acceleration and composed performance. The engineers prioritized refinement over raw aggression. The goal was not speed but the sensation of effortless forward motion. Drivers often described the experience as floating rather than driving, a sensation that came from the combination of suspension tuning, the weight of the vehicle, and the isolation of the cabin. This was a car that made long journeys feel short and city streets feel tranquil. The engine had been thoroughly tested and balanced to minimize vibration and ensure that the cabin experience remained serene. The transmission shifted with a softness that matched the dignified character of the car. Everything about the driving experience was designed to remind the owner that they were in possession of something rare and superior. Inside the cabin, the Mark II represented one of the most luxurious American interiors ever created up to that point. Every surface was covered in premium materials chosen not for cost efficiency but for tactile pleasure and visual elegance. The seats were upholstered in the finest leather, and each hide was carefully inspected. If the leather displayed any imperfections, even minor ones that would be unnoticed by the average buyer, it was rejected. The carpeting was thick enough that stepping onto it felt like stepping onto a soft rug inside a grand home. The dashboard and interior panels were finished with a combination of real metals and high-quality materials, all assembled by hand to guarantee perfect alignment. Even the instrumentation carried an understated sophistication, with gauges designed to be clear, refined, and beautifully arranged. Nothing inside the cabin attempted to overwhelm the senses. Instead, everything worked together to create a harmonious environment that felt expensive without being ostentatious. One of the aspects that made the Mark II so impressive was the amount of customization available to buyers. While most automobiles in the United States were becoming increasingly standardized, the Mark II broke from this trend by offering a level of personalization more common in European luxury cars. Customers could select specific leather colors, interior combinations, and optional equipment that allowed them to shape the car to their personal taste. This made each Mark II slightly different from the next, further reinforcing the sense of exclusivity. Those who purchased the vehicle were often individuals accustomed to bespoke goods, tailored suits, handcrafted accessories, private residences built to their specifications. Owning a Mark II felt like an extension of this lifestyle, a transportation experience integrated into the broader identity of luxury living. The Mark II became popular among influential figures of the era. Celebrities, business magnates, and political personalities gravitated to it not because it was flashy, but because it offered a distinct prestige that separated them from the crowd. Elvis Presley, for example, owned one, recognizing that the car's refined nature contrasted beautifully with his public persona. Other well-known individuals from the entertainment and corporate worlds followed, creating a subtle but powerful association between the car and America's elite. The Mark II did not need widespread popularity to validate its existence. It needed recognition from people who shaped cultural trends and economic influence. In this regard, it succeeded beyond expectations. Owning one became a statement that one belonged to the highest social tier of American society. Yet, despite all the care invested in its design and production, the Mark II was not built to be profitable. The Continental Division's goal was not to generate massive financial returns but to elevate the prestige of the Ford Motor Company as a whole. Estimates suggest that Ford lost thousands of dollars on every Mark II produced, simply because the cost of materials, labor, and specialized craftsmanship exceeded the retail price. However, Ford accepted this loss willingly because the presence of the Mark II on the roads and in the garages of prominent individuals created an aura of sophistication that benefited the Lincoln brand for years to come. The car functioned as a rolling advertisement for the capability, vision, and craftsmanship of the American automobile industry. The production process of the Mark II revealed just how much effort went into its creation. Unlike cars built on traditional assembly lines, the Mark II received a much slower, more deliberate treatment. After the body panels were mounted, each car went through a specialized inspection process where technicians checked for panel alignment with measurements so precise that even slight deviations were unacceptable. The paint application was performed with extreme care, with multiple layers applied and polished by hand to achieve a deep, mirror-like finish. The chrome components were treated to ensure they would remain bright and flawless. When the mechanical components were installed, everything was tested not once but multiple times, ensuring that the vehicle lived up to its reputation before leaving the factory. This dedication to excellence resulted in a production pace far slower than regular luxury cars, which made the Mark II even more exclusive. Driving a Mark II in 1956 was an experience that conveyed power without aggression. The car's size and presence naturally commanded attention, but its demeanor remained calm and composed. The ride quality was exceptional for its time, absorbing imperfections on the road with ease. The steering was smooth, the brakes engaged predictably, and the engine hummed with a confidence that made the driver feel in complete control. Passengers often described the sensation of gliding over the pavement, protected from outside noise and motion. The insulation was so effective that conversations could be held at a whisper, even at higher speeds. This level of comfort redefined what American consumers expected from luxury vehicles, influencing many models that followed. The Mark II symbolized an attempt to capture the essence of American luxury during a period when the nation was defining itself as a global cultural and economic leader. The United States had emerged from World War II with unprecedented industrial capacity and global influence, and automobiles became one of the most recognizable icons of American success. The Mark II embodied this confidence but did so in a way that avoided the excess associated with the more flamboyant designs of the decade. It represented a streamlined vision of luxury, one that equated refinement with power and elegance with strength. For many, it stood as the closest thing to an American equivalent of a European grand touring car. Many people who encountered the Mark II in person remember the feeling of admiration it provoked. Its presence created an impression that was difficult to articulate. It was not simply about size or price, it was the aura that surrounded the vehicle. People sensed the quality in its construction, the intention behind its design, and the exclusivity of its ownership. Even individuals who might never have dreamed of purchasing one could recognize that they were looking at something special. The car invited respect without demanding it, much like an artwork that does not need explanation to be appreciated. By the end of the 1956 model year, the Mark II had already established itself as a landmark in American automotive history. Yet its high cost and elaborate production made it unsustainable as a long-term project. Even so, the car's influence persisted, shaping the direction of future Lincoln models and leaving a legacy of excellence that still resonates today. The Mark II's brief production run contributed to its mystique, turning it into a collector's dream and a symbol of a unique moment when craftsmanship and prestige outweighed commercial considerations. As the Continental Mark II moved into 1957, its presence on American roads continued to embody the same aura of exclusivity and elegance that had defined its debut. Even though the car was never intended for mass production, and despite its extremely high price, the small number of units manufactured only elevated its mystique. Those who saw it understood that it represented a different philosophy, one that did not chase trends or commercial demand but focused entirely on presenting the pinnacle of American craftsmanship. The idea that an American automaker could build something as refined as the finest European luxury vehicles seemed almost revolutionary at the time. In many ways, the Mark II challenged the assumption that American luxury always required bold designs, excessive chrome, or dramatic stylistic gestures. Instead, it proved that sophistication could arise from restraint and precision, and that true luxury came from craftsmanship rather than spectacle. The car's reputation was strengthened by the experiences of the people who owned it. Their stories reinforced the idea that the Mark II was more than a vehicle, it was an extension of personal identity. Many owners described the pride they felt while driving it, not because of the way others looked at them, but because of what the car represented. It symbolized success, refined taste, and a deep appreciation for quality above all else. For some, it became the centerpiece of their personal collections, parked in secure garages and maintained with the same attention given to valuable works of art. Others enjoyed using it for long trips, confident that the comfort and reliability of the Mark II would turn any journey into a pleasurable experience. The seats remained supportive even after hours of driving, and the cabin stayed quiet and serene regardless of road or weather conditions. These qualities created emotional connections between owners and their cars, making the Mark II not just a purchase but an enduring companion. Although the Mark II offered exceptional refinement, its maintenance required expertise and attention because of its handcrafted nature. Mechanics who worked on the car often noted that its components were assembled with a precision that differed from normal mass-production vehicles. This meant that repairs sometimes required a level of patience and skill not commonly demanded by other American cars of the decade. Owners who understood this treated their Mark II with respect, choosing specialized shops or factory-trained technicians to keep the vehicle in top condition. Far from being a burden, this meticulous maintenance only reinforced the car's image as a luxury object that deserved extraordinary care. It was similar to owning a grand piano or a finely crafted watch, items that required attention but rewarded their owners with performance and beauty that cheaper products could never match. The Mark II's absence of excessive ornamentation also played a significant role in shaping its identity. In an era when automotive fashion leaned heavily toward tail fins, exaggerated curves, and chrome highlights, the Mark II stood out precisely because it refused to follow the crowd. Its restrained elegance caught the eye in a different way. People noticed it not because it shouted for attention, but because it embodied a calm confidence. Its presence on the road reminded observers that luxury was not defined by flamboyance but by quality and intention. This design philosophy aged remarkably well. While many other cars from the 1950s now appear dated or overly stylized, the Mark II retains an almost timeless appeal. Its smooth surfaces, well-balanced proportions, and understated lines continue to be admired by collectors and enthusiasts more than half a century later. If anything, time has enhanced its reputation, proving that good design transcends its era. Beyond personal impressions, the Mark II also left a mark on the broader automotive industry. Its development pushed manufacturers to reconsider their approach to luxury vehicles. It showed that American companies could achieve the same level of craftsmanship as European brands if they invested in the right processes, materials, and philosophies. Although Ford never produced another car exactly like the Mark II, many of the principles that guided its construction influenced future Lincoln models. Improved build quality, sophisticated styling, and a commitment to comfort all became more prominent in subsequent vehicles, thanks in part to the precedent set by the Mark II. Even though the Continental division would eventually be absorbed into Lincoln, the brief existence of this special branch of Ford had a lasting impact that shaped the brand's identity for decades. As years passed, automotive historians began to re-evaluate the Mark II not only as a luxury masterpiece but also as a reflection of American culture during the post-war boom. The car represented the era's belief in progress, prosperity, and the possibility of achieving greatness through innovation and craftsmanship. It highlighted the confidence of a nation that was expanding economically, building suburbs, constructing highways, and redefining modern life. The Mark II fit seamlessly into this narrative. It was a product of a society that valued aspiration and ambition, and its existence served as a symbol that American engineering and design could stand proudly among the world's best. Even though its commercial lifespan was short, its cultural significance endured. Collectors who seek the Mark II today often describe the emotional experience of encountering one for the first time. The car exudes a presence that feels both familiar and rare. Its long hood, slender roofline, and carefully sculpted body panels create a visual harmony that makes it instantly recognizable. Many describe the sensation of opening the door and being met with a fragrance that combines leather, metal, and a touch of nostalgia. Sliding into the driver's seat, one feels enveloped by an atmosphere of classic American luxury that has become increasingly difficult to replicate in modern vehicles. The tactile experience of touching the steering wheel, adjusting the controls, and hearing the soft click of mechanical switches evokes a sense of craftsmanship seldom seen today. For many collectors, owning a Mark II is not just about possessing a rare car, it is about preserving a piece of history that continues to inspire admiration. Despite its exclusivity and iconic status, the Mark II also reveals a certain vulnerability that makes it even more fascinating. Because the car was produced in limited numbers and at great cost, its existence was always fragile. If Ford had not been willing to absorb significant financial losses, the Mark II might never have been built at all. Its survival through the decades required careful stewardship from owners who appreciated its value. Every restored or well-preserved Mark II seen today is the result of countless hours of dedication from enthusiasts who recognized that this car deserved to be protected. These individuals formed a silent but committed community, united by their respect for one of the most remarkable automobiles ever produced in America. Driving a Mark II in the modern world offers a unique perspective. While traffic, road conditions, and driving habits have changed dramatically since the 1950s, the car still performs with a grace that surprises many people. Its ride remains smooth, its cabin remains quiet, and its steering conveys a sense of gentle authority. The engine, though less powerful compared to modern standards, delivers a dignified performance that feels appropriate for its character. The experience is almost meditative. It transports the driver to a different era, not because it feels outdated, but because it captures qualities that modern vehicles sometimes neglect in the pursuit of technology and efficiency. In a world filled with screens, sensors, and digital systems, the analog purity of the Mark II becomes a refreshing reminder of the artistry once present in automobile design. The legacy of the Mark II extends beyond its engineering achievements. It has become a cultural icon, frequently appearing in museums, exhibitions, and automotive literature. Its name evokes an image of luxury that transcends generations. Young enthusiasts who never lived through the 1950s still feel drawn to the car's elegance, while older collectors who remember its debut regard it with deep admiration. This cross-generational appeal reflects the universal values embedded in the Mark II's design: beauty, craftsmanship, intention, and authenticity. These qualities resonate regardless of time or place, making the car as relevant today as it was upon introduction. Some historians argue that the Mark II represents the final chapter of an era when American automobile manufacturers were willing to prioritize excellence over profitability. After its discontinuation, the industry increasingly shifted toward balancing quality with cost efficiency, streamlining production methods, and appealing to broader markets. While these changes were necessary for long-term sustainability, they also marked the end of the unique environment that had allowed the Mark II to exist. The car's rarity, therefore, becomes even more meaningful. It stands as a testament to a fleeting moment when craftsmanship reached extraordinary heights, unconstrained by commercial demands. Many enthusiasts continue to debate what makes the Mark II so captivating. Some focus on its design, admiring the way it blends modern proportions with timeless simplicity. Others point to its luxurious interior and smooth performance. Still others emphasize its historical significance, noting that it represented one of the most ambitious projects ever undertaken by an American manufacturer. But perhaps the true appeal of the Mark II lies in the way it harmonizes all these elements. It is neither defined solely by style nor by engineering nor by historical context. Instead, it represents the convergence of all these qualities, creating a vehicle that feels complete in a way that few others do. It is a car with a soul, not in a literal sense, but in the emotional reaction it evokes. For those who have the opportunity to see a Continental Mark II up close, the experience can be unforgettable. The car invites admiration from all angles. The sunlight reflects beautifully off its carefully polished surfaces, highlighting the contours of the bodywork. The chrome details add just enough visual interest without overwhelming the design. The interior glows with warmth when light enters through the windows, bringing attention to the craftsmanship of the upholstery and the precision of the dashboard. Even the sound of the door closing has a satisfying quality, a gentle, solid thud that conveys strength and refinement simultaneously. These sensory impressions remain with those who experience the car, creating memories that reinforce its legendary status. Ultimately, the Lincoln Continental Mark II endures not only as the most expensive American car of its time but also as one of the most extraordinary achievements in automotive history. Its creation required bold vision, unwavering dedication, and a willingness to defy conventional business logic. It demonstrated that luxury was not defined by excess but by purpose, craftsmanship, and authenticity. In 1956, it stood apart from every other vehicle on the road, embodying elegance in its purest form. Today, it continues to captivate the hearts of enthusiasts, collectors, and historians who recognize that its legacy transcends the boundaries of time. The Mark II remains a reminder that the pursuit of excellence, even when impractical, can produce something truly timeless, something that inspires admiration decades after its creation. Its presence endures as a symbol of American ambition at its finest, and its story remains one of the most compelling chapters in the history of luxury automobiles.